Welcome to this video on phloem, the sugar transport tissue in plants. Phloem is one of the most important vascular tissues that keeps plants alive and functioning. Throughout this lesson, you will learn how phloem moves sugars and nutrients from one part of the plant to another, ensuring that every cell gets the energy it needs to survive and grow. Phloem is a specialized vascular tissue found in all vascular plants. Its primary job is to transport sugars and other organic nutrients throughout the plant body. These sugars are produced in certain areas, like the leaves during photosynthesis, and need to be moved to other parts of the plant. Phloem ensures that these nutrients reach areas where they are needed for growth, such as roots and developing fruits, or areas where they are stored for later use, such as storage organs like tubers. Phloem tissue is made up of four main components. First are the sieve tube elements, which are living cells that form continuous tubes for sugar transport. Second are the companion cells, which are support cells that help maintain the function of the sieve tubes. Third are phloem fibers, which provide structural support to the entire tissue. And fourth are phloem parenchyma cells, which serve as storage cells for nutrients and other materials. All these components work together to make phloem an efficient transport system. Sieve tube elements are the main conducting cells of phloem. These are unique living cells that lack nuclei when they become mature. This might sound strange, but losing their nuclei allows them to have more space for transporting materials. Sieve tube elements are connected end to end through structures called sieve plates, which have small pores that allow fluid to flow between cells. Together, they form continuous tubes that run throughout the plant for long-distance transport of sugars. Companion cells are essential support cells that work alongside sieve tube elements. Since sieve tube elements lose their nuclei and most organelles when mature, they cannot perform all the metabolic functions needed to stay alive. This is where companion cells come in. Companion cells contain nuclei and all the necessary organelles that sieve tubes lack. They provide metabolic support and help maintain the sieve tubes. These two cell types are connected through tiny channels called plasmodesmata, which allow them to communicate and exchange materials. The movement of sugars through phloem occurs through a process called translocation. Translocation is the long-distance transport of organic materials, primarily sugars, from source tissues to sink tissues. Source tissues are areas where sugars are produced, like mature photosynthetic leaves. Sink tissues are areas where sugars are either used immediately for growth and energy or stored for later use. This directional movement ensures that all parts of the plant receive the nutrients they need. The pressure flow hypothesis explains how sugars actually move through phloem. The process works in 4 steps. First, at the source, such as a leaf, sugars are actively loaded into the sieve tubes, creating a high concentration of sugar. Second, this high sugar concentration causes water to enter the sieve tubes by osmosis, increasing the pressure inside. Third, this increased pressure at the source pushes the sugar-rich sap toward the sink tissues where pressure is lower. Fourth, at the sink, sugars are unloaded and used or stored, water exits the phloem, and pressure drops. This pressure difference drives the continuous flow of nutrients. Understanding the difference between source and sink tissues is crucial. Source tissues are the production sites where sugars are made. The most common example is mature leaves that perform photosynthesis and produce glucose. Sink tissues, on the other hand, are the consumption or storage sites. These include roots that need energy for growth, fruits and seeds that are developing, young leaves that are still growing and not yet photosynthetic, and storage organs like potato tubers or carrot roots. Interestingly, the same tissue can switch between being a source and a sink, depending on the plant's developmental stage. Phloem and xylem are the two main vascular tissues in plants, but they have very different roles. Phloem transports sugars and organic nutrients, while xylem transports water and dissolved minerals. Phloem can move materials in any direction, either up or down the plant, depending on where sources and sinks are located. This is called bidirectional flow. In contrast, xylem moves materials only in one direction, upward from roots to shoots. Another key difference is that phloem is made of living cells, whereas xylem is composed of dead cells that act like hollow pipes. Together, these two tissues form the plant's complete transport system. Let us recap the most important points about phloem. First, phloem is essential for distributing sugars and nutrients throughout the plant, ensuring every part gets what it needs to survive. Second, phloem is composed of sieve tube elements and companion cells that work together as a team, with other supporting cells like fibers and parenchyma. Third, the transport process uses a pressure flow mechanism for translocation, driven by differences in pressure between source and sink. And fourth, unlike xylem, which only moves water upward, phloem can transport materials from source to sink in any direction, making it a highly flexible transport system. Understanding phloem helps us appreciate how plants efficiently distribute resources to support their growth and survival.
If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit codelucky.com for more such useful content.